The following video was sponsored by the Greek American Heritage Society of Philadelphia, preserving and promoting our community's history.
Αν αρχινήσω να σας πω πενέματα και χάρες, του Greek Spirit είσαστε φίλοι και φιλενάδες. Ο Σοκράτης και ο Πλάτων μου κάνουνε παρέα και μαζί σας θα περάσουμε όμορφα και ωραία. Welcome to a Greek Spirit, the cultural affair with our heritage. Stay with us until 10 η ώρα, until 10 o'clock. Από την ομογένεια προς την ομογένεια είναι η δική μας έννοια. Καλώς σας βρήκαμε.
Our guest today has had a career of 68 years in the media industry. For the past 30 of those years, he has come into our homes on Sunday evening, owning that particular night in the Greek American community. His name is George Burlotos. George is arguably the most well-recognized name in our community, not just for his broadcasting, but for his endeavors as a member of the community, as a veteran, a member of St. Thomas Greek Orthodox Church, the Kalli Parea. His life is a life well lived. Now let's talk with our guest today, George Burlotos. George, first of all, let me tell you, it's an honor to be here with you. We're longtime fans, and we are friends, and we're looking for a little bit more information today than just your programming. We want to get to know who George Burlotos is and a little bit about your past that people might not be familiar with.
Συγχαρητήρια για τα ωραία λόγια που έχεις να πεις για μένα. Πού ήσουν τότε που άρχισα, ήσουν παιδί πιτσιρίκος.
Πολύ μικρός.
Ναι, να σε έπαιρνα μαζί μου, να έχουμε σήμερα κάνει εκατομμύρια δολάρια.
George, let's talk about first your early life. You were born in this area, but you, as a small child, you went to Greece to live and then returned again. Can we talk about that a little bit first?
Γεννήθηκα το 1923 στο Passaic, New Jersey. I was born in Passaic, New Jersey, 1923. In 1929, the whole family moved to Greece because of my mother's illness. My father returned, but I stayed in Greece with my mother and two sisters until 1939. 39 with the less voyage, the less trip with the Νέα Ελλάς Hyperoceanian. I came to America by myself, and I joined my father. Those days were very rough for me. I didn't speak a word of English because my family always, conversed in English. So I started going to school. I went to Camden Public Schools. I attended Woodrow Wilson High School, and in 1943, I graduated from Woodrow Wilson High School. That was Wednesday. Saturday morning, I was reporting because I had been drafted, but they had given me, time to finish high school. I was reporting to the naval authorities in Camp Perry, Virginia.
You had quite a history, actually, with the Navy. You served at one of the most important locations in the Pacific, Okinawa. Tell us about your time in the Pacific there and what your experiences were.
I was placed in the CB unit, and that was CB's stands for Construction Battalions, but my unit was a seagoing and landing on the islands then occupied by the Japanese authorities. I was, to name you, if I remember, I was in Guadalcanal, I was in Guam, I was in New Hebrides, the Marianas. And in one of them, it took place the invasion of Okinawa. Needless to say that I was there 45 days under fire, continuously endangering, my activities. I cannot say to you that I enjoyed it. My thoughts was to serve my country to the best of my ability, and then I knew that I had heard that way of living with leftists, it didn't. I did not approve it. Anyway, one of the moments that I do remember, I had taken lessons in violin. As a matter of fact, I played in the orchestra of my Woodrow Wilson High School. So when we were on one of the troop ships in one of the islands, the ship had instruments for the troops to play and entertain each other. So I grabbed the violin and I started playing Greek Evropaika Τραγούδια, Greek songs, not the, Tsamiko, Evropaika, Sartha μια νύχτα με φεγγάρι, and so on.
Where was this taking place? On a ship?
On a ship.
Where were you?
In the Pacific, of course.
Pacific, coming or going?
After Hawaii. After Hawaii. Yeah. And so a group of young sailors came all around me. They were smiling. They were speaking to me in Spanish. And I said, I don't speak Spanish. Well, the tunes sound Spanish. I said, well, the Greek songs, ελληνικά τραγούδια από την Ευρώπη, ευρωπαϊκά τραγούδια, European songs, melodies. Anyway, and I made some friends on that particular troop ship. The night before the invasion, it was a night that we were talking to each other, and we were telling stories about our families back home. We knew that we were going to invade Okinawa. Actually, I don't think I remember saying the island, the name of the island, but we did make the invasion April 1st, 1945. Our pontoon barge was launched from the LSD, and we took ashore heavy guns, tanks, and also Marines. And after that, we stayed 45 days on the beach, supplying the troops with whatever they needed. Even at the end, we even would take ashore, anything they needed to create the places that were to live, tents and so on. Then 45 days later, we went on a troop ship to return back to the States, not to the States, to Guam. Next to us was the heavier cruiser, what was the name? New Mexico. It was attacked by 3 kamikazes. One was shot, it was right above us. When I saw the kamikazes coming, then I said, this is the end. I prayed to God. I brought my mother and my whole family. I said, this is it, George. Luckily, the first kamikaze was shot down. The other 2 made it to the New Mexico. We had 82 dead in a few minutes from the 2 kamikazes. I learned later that under his own power, the heavy cruiser went back to Hawaii.
Well, the question then becomes, how has that particular campaign during World War II, how did it shape your life? Did it change you or alter your perspective on things when you came home? Oh,
yes. Yes, it does. It did. and I had high respect for fellow veterans because I knew what they went through. I did not meet the enemy face to face, but I was there right behind. It was a couple of times that we were called because as Seabees, we also carried a rifle because we didn't know what we were going to meet at the shore when we landed. And a couple of times I was able to be shown a place that I was to face the enemy. But thank God I did not face the enemy face to face.
Shortly after high school, you joined the military almost immediately. What brought on that sense of patriotism? Was there a particular appeal from the nation at that time, or did you feel a sense of obligation?
I was drafted, and I didn't. Well, the war had already started in Europe. I mean, the world was facing the German dynasty, I would say, and I felt that I had an obligation to serve my country. And then my mother and two sisters were in Greece during the occupation after the 28th of October invasion of the Italian army into Greece. But of course the Greeks did win, and the Italians lost the war there in Albania, thanks to the heroism of the Greek soldiers and the entire nation. Η αλήθεια είναι ότι με ενθουσίασε η νίκη των Ελλήνων στην Αλβανία και έπρεπε και εγώ κάπως να προσφέρω στη νίκη αυτή ως Έλληνας Αμερικανός αλλά ελληνικής καταγωγής. Όταν εισήλθα στο ναυτικό έπρεπε να γυμναστώ, έπρεπε να μάθω πάρα πολλά πράγματα, διότι το στρατιωτικό βέβαια είναι άγνωστο σε πολλούς όταν αρχίζουν να υπηρετούν. Και το άλλο που θέλω να σου πω είναι, να το πω in English. When I met another Greek American in the Navy or the Army, we would become brothers. We had common values. The culture was the same. So we had a yaya, we had a papu, and ecclesia. So whenever a Greek American will approach me and says, George, write a letter to my yaya in Massachusetts, in Georgia, I would sit down in Greek and write a letter for the fellow Greek American. And I'll never forget this letter that I wrote for a yaya, for a fellow naval person in Massachusetts, from Massachusetts. George, please write a letter to my yaya, να πάει στην εκκλησιά, να ανάψει ένα κερί για όλους τους Greek Americans, to go to church and write a candle for the Greek Americans. Of course, I said, of course, for the entire, Army, Navy, and Marines and so on. I said, yeah, but Yaya has to listen, has to read this in Greek. Yeah, that was part of my duties with Greek Americans throughout the area of the Pacific.
Well, let's move forward now to you return home, you finished the campaign, you were released in what year, and where did you go?
I attended night school at Temple University, and there for 3 years I learned how to operate financial dealings, and also I loved the theater, and I took a special course in producing and theater. And my mind was always in the old Greek theaters in Greece. Anyway, as I was growing older, when I got 30, I said, well, I got to get married. And I met the lady by the name Lascaris, Martina Lascaris, whose parents were from near Sparta. I had a happy marriage. I enjoyed the 4 children, which were Eleni, Jimmy, Niconia, and Alex. I named my children after my in-laws and my own father and mother. Since then, of course, I have had 9 grandchildren.
Congratulations.
Yeah, grandchildren, and all of them have graduated. Most of them graduated with scholarships.
Let's back up a little bit now. The year was 1945 when you got married?
1853.
1953. You had already been living in the Camden area?
Yes.
And what were you doing as far as a business was concerned?
I had a fruit store, or a bacalico micro, and which later was developed into a full market on Market Street, Camden, New Jersey. And after that, I opened up a restaurant a few feet away from there, named George's Restaurant. And the restaurant was very successful. I had many local politicians. I was across the street from Camel Soup, and nearby RCA Victor.
Was there a relationship with the Greek American community there?
Yes. The Greek American community had purchased the Camden Commercial School on Federal Street. There we had a kitchen, rooms, classrooms, which we used for our Greek school, and the AHEPA would meet there. After that, we sold it, and with the money, we were able to purchase the grounds where St. Thomas is located today.
Where were you going to church during that time? Where did the Greeks go to church in this area?
Oh, yes. I was a member of the St. George's Cathedral choir. I was in a choir. As a matter of fact, that's what I made my first good friends in the choir of St. George's. And God rest his soul, the choir master, George Anastasiou, he taught me the Γεροδήμος πέθανε, ο Γεροδήμος πάει. Ο Γεροδήμος εγέρασα μωρές παιδιά 50 χρόνους κλέφτης. Τον ύπνο δεν εχόρτασα και τώρα αποσταμένος. Θέλω να πάω να κοιμηθώ, εστέρεψε η καρδιά μου. Βρύσει το αίμα, το όχησα στα λαματιά δεμένη. Τρέχα παιδί μου γρήγορα, λέει ο Δήμος, τρέχα ψηλά στη ράχη και ρίξε το τουφέκι σου στον ύπνο μου επάνω. Άκουσε ο Δήμος τη βοή μες στο βαθύ τον ύπνο, τα χνό του χείλη εδάκρυσε, εστέρεψαν τα δάκρυα. Ο Γερόδημος πέθανε ακούγοντας το παιδί που έριξε πάνω στο βουνό το όπλο για την ελευθεριά της Ελλάδος. Κατόπιν, επειδή μου άρεσε πάντοτε να μοιράζομαι ειδήσεις και τα νέα, διότι υπήρχε κάποιο πρόγραμμα Σαββας Σαπουνάκης, ραδιοφωνικό πρόγραμμα, και νόμιζα ότι μπορώ να κάνω κι εγώ εξίσου μια ραδιοφωνική ώρα για να σφέρω κάτι πιο μοντέρνο. Είχα πλούσιο δισκοθήκη.
Hold on, let me just add. So this is where you got the initial inspiration for your first media endeavor. What year was it?
1949.
And this is why you still had the restaurant fruit stand? Is that
Yes.
what so you were still in Camden, New Jersey?
Yes.
and you were doing relatively well. You had
Yes.
your family.
Yes.
And this inspiration came on to you.
Yes.
Tell me again about it.
Well, the station was WKDN. It was a half hour, later became an hour. And the people responded immediately because I had to present something real modern and good music. Yeah. And
So somebody else's program inspired you to start
Yes,
your own
yes.
program.
Yes.
Where did you launch this from? Your place of business? Did you go to a studio or?
well, of course, I cannot forget the other radio station. That was WTEL with Paris. The Paris.
Paris Radio.
Yeah, Paris Radio.
From Broad Street.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I started. I made a lot of friends throughout the area. And when time came for TV, I heard about this new station that was opening up in Camden, and that was WKDN. I applied. The owner was a former congressman from Connecticut. He went down to Lintonia restaurant, who owned by a Greek by the name Goshigonis, and asked him about my personality. He said, yeah, you may. George is so an ethical person. So I was given it time, and I continue on with WKDN until I started the.
So let's get this straight for history. The year was 1984.
Yeah.
You had launched a program called The Greek Affair. It was a television program inspired from a Polish program that you had seen and said, why don't we have our own ethnic program? You started that in Vineland, New Jersey. Now take us forward. How did it become known as the Greek Spirit?
The Greek Affair was the festival of one of our churches. And they asked me, George, the Greek Affair is a festival. It belongs to us. How about change it to something more Greek? Well, I said, yes. Anyway, I did change it because not really that they were very kind that they pleaded with me that change it. And I thought perhaps if I had kept it, would have been more publicity for their affair. So I did ask some friends in my family, said, George, why don't you name it the Spirit? Because you do have all that spirit, to bring it forth. And I did change it to Greek Spirit. And when I came to WKDN, it was the Greek Spirit.
Where was that at? In Philadelphia?
In Philadelphia.
Okay.
I was well received. Previous to that, I had a half hour in Channel 56 in Washington, D.C. Oh. I would send the program, overnight, or I would deliver it to D.C. As they say, but I loved what I was doing.
So you would send your recorded VHS tapes
Yes.
down to Washington
Yes.
so they could be
Yeah.
broadcast at a local TV station there?
Channel 56 from Virginia. I made a lot of friends there, even the ambassador and the community. As a matter of fact, I met Livanos, the ship owner, and he paid for the program there in Channel 56 for several months. And then later on, the programming was changed, and I did terminate the program in Washington, D.C., and I stayed with WKDN. Now, the person that was in charge in Virginia and Washington was here in this station that WKDN. He gave me a call, George, I'm now managing this station. So it was easier for me when I told him that I was in Vineland. He says, why don't you come over to our station here? And so I joined the new director, and I've been with WKDN ever since.
Tell us about the programming that was launched here. You reached a larger audience, but how did you develop the program? Where would you record and broadcast from?
I had the assistance of the camera persons at the station. I also was receiving, through the embassy, I was receiving programs from ERT itself. I did pay them a visit, ERT, and they were happy that I was showing programs from the government station. They were very good to me. Every week I will get musical and also documentaries, tours, and I enriched my program with work from Greece. In the meantime, I would go out with my 2x4 camera, and I would visit the societies during their Horus Perides, and the program grew up to attract people. I did the best I could. I used talented people. I had speeches of not much religion, but I would follow up any, worthwhile togetherness with the public.
How did your programming change over the course of those 30 years? Was there a particular focus you had and then it would shift to over time? Or, because you did say the ERT portion was popular, was it popular in the beginning?
Yes. I wanted to share my culture. Anything culture was taking first place. I discovered Socrates. So I put him next to me.
You beat me to the question. I was going to ask.
Yeah.
How did he come about?
Well, I have read history, ancient history. I had read a book about the teachings of through Plato from Socrates, and I felt that Socrates could be Sophotatos, wise man, to help me produce the show. So, as an excuse, I always blamed Socrates. And it became a signal of the Greek spirit. I was getting calls, Tikanyo Socrates, how is Socrates? And then I would talk to him during the camera work. Socrates, to ipa kala, itan alithia. I made sort of entertaining.
And that was initiated by people's phone calls and letters to you. Yeah. And you saw that there was a path to create some of your own entertainment.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
So it was an excuse for me too. Yeah.
Well, you carried that through for many years, I think, even to the end.
Yeah.
All right, so tell us a little bit more about the program. You were shooting it where? Here in Camden or in Philadelphia?
Well, I had a studio here in Cherry Hill, a studio. I was paying for rent, or I was renting a studio, and the program was. I had the equipment. I mean, I have expensive equipment. As a matter of fact, when one of them broke down, they wanted $1,500 to repair it. I said, wait a minute. Financially, it did not make me a rich person. Financially, I broke even. I lost a lot of money many times. And the only time that I made a few dollars was in Washington, because the ship owner, Livanos, was paying part of the expenses. the Greek spirit was my therapy in my age.
You were also very popular. Your program was popular during the fundraising season,
Yes.
where they would run these campaigns, I guess, for an entire day, and they'd be broadcasting to support public broadcasting. Do you remember those days?
Yeah, I remember they had the campaigns about 3 or 4 hours. Do you know that a couple of years we received from the supporters, of your supporters, more money than any other ethnic group? We had other ethnic groups. Yeah. As a matter of fact, the station was a non-profit, so I had a good rate. I could never produce a show 1 hour short at another commercial. They had given us a very good rate because it was a foundation. And people wanted to see themselves on TV. So I went around with a camera, and yet I added a new Greek word in the Greek dictionary, anyktomata. The camera, open-eyed. I wanted to know, George. I said, I don't think you'll find this word in the Greek dictionary. And yet people listened, and they realized immediately that anyktomata meant a wide-eye camera. And even now, today, oh, George, you're here without the anyktomata. Oh, George, it became, certain things that I said became known, and people, when they see me, they talked about it. For instance, when I shot this is the Greek spirit. Κι ως την Άδη Κυριακή να είμαστε καλοί Γρεκοί. Till next, it rhymes, Kyriaki, Greki. Greki, it's the Latin word for Greeks. And many of those things that I used, I would write it down and read them, because δεν είμαι τόσο πολύ να θυμάμαι έξυπνος. Τα έγραφα κάτω και όταν ερχόταν η ώρα, the time of the broadcast, I would read them. And this became international, to Γεια σας.
How did that come about?
Well,
You know what? God rest his soul, Zonis.
Arthur
Zonis.
Trizonis?
Trizonis. Every time he saw me, yes, yeah, he,
And he had a voice.
yeah, he had a voice. I used them a lot. Yeah, he had a voice, and I cannot forget the response. I needed letter writing. Trizonis, Marika was there to write. Trizonis wrote a letter to the Stockton College, and they gave me free time for several months because of the beautiful letter that she wrote about my efforts and the Hellenic culture and so on. And I'll never forget those two. God rest us all. But every time he saw me, Yasas, I said, that's a good, to say goodbye, because Yasas means good health. It's the Greek word hygiene, Yasas. So
It has a universal.
yeah, and now they see me Yasas. They talk to me Yasas. And people μεταξύ τους, ο κόσμος λένε Yasas. And I'm proud of that. At least I remember for the Yasas.
Spent your life over here in the Camden Cherry Hill area.
yes.
And were one of the founders of Cherry Hill's St. Thomas Greek Orthodox Church. Tell us about this area, because you live right next to the church now too. I remember once you told me you remember this being an empty field and there were rum runners going up and down this road. Tell us a little bit about the history of this neighborhood and then the church.
Η αλήθεια ότι I was a member of 11 local Greek American societies. I paid my dues. That also helped to support the people responded, to assist the program. I used to live around the corner from here, Bedford Avenue, and Mr. Shagunis, who was the leader of the Greek Americans in the area, came over to me to Bedford Avenue address. He came over to να πει χρόνια πολλά στον πατέρα μου, Αγίου Δημητρίου. George, there's a lot for sale down below, this here lot. He says, να κάνουμε την εκκλησία εκεί, διότι έχουμε το σύλλογο, αλλά δεν έχουμε ακόμα κάνει εκκλησία. Λέω, πολύ κοντά για το σπίτι μου, λέω, δεν μπορώ, το σκέφτηκα. Αλλά με έπεισε, he said, George, I know the area. It's a good area, near in the middle of Cherry Hill, not far from the city hall. I said, yes. So we went over to the realtor and we paid $17,000 for a lot. A few months later, we were offered $50,000. And many that didn't want a church and whatever, he said, να το πουλήσουμε, θα κάνουμε χρήματα. And God said, no, we're going to do the church. We don't want to make money, we want to make a church. And we got together, we got the telephone number of the area and had Diane Vlachakis, rest us all, look for Greek names in the telephone book. And we wrote them down and we went and visited all those. Some of them were Greek names, but they weren't Greeks. Anyway, and then the rest is a very honorable, ethical, religious history, not because of me. I was one of them. It just happened. I happened to live around the corner and whatever. You know, I give credit to many who really put up a lot of money. And we have St. Thomas. I think we do have 600 paid up members, and that's a lot of membership.
There are two other organizations that played specific roles in your life, your day-to-day activities. One is the AHEPA, the local Camden chapter. Tell me a little bit about your association with that.
First of all, after I was discharged from the Navy, I did join the AHEPA. I'm one of the oldest members now, and I'm talking about, let's see, 46 to 40, no, 47, 48. That's when I joined the AHEPA. The AHEPA taught me a lot of things. First of all, to respect and follow Greek Americans, to say good things. If you have nothing good to say about someone, don't say anything. AHEPA liberated bigotry here, liberated the Greek Americans in the United States. I loved being an AHEPAN, and after many years, I served as president of the local chapter. My uncle, my mother's brother, Nicholas Hollis, he was an AHEPAN since 1923, 1924, whatever. And then later on, God rest his soul, Mikrutzikos from Trenton, Mr. AHEPAN of New Jersey, recommended that I become a district officer. And throughout the years, I was voted as a governor of the district number 5, Delaware and New Jersey. And I served AHEPA to the best of my ability.
Let's also talk about the organization you've been involved with ever since you returned from your military duty. You are honoring them today by wearing their patch on your jacket and wearing that wonderful cap, the VFW post, which is the only one of its kind in North America. Tell us a little bit about the Post Eleftheria.
The Post Eleftheria today, if they ask me, what do you do up there? We give scholarships. Yes. First of all, we get together, we exchange not much military happenings. Here and there, we might come out with something. What happened, for instance, one of our members was shot down twice in Vietnam. Twice. He was a pilot of a helicopter. Another person had an experience which he never thought it will happen. So we exchange them, but not as often. mostly we make it socially, brotherly, and scholarships.
Let's talk about one more organization, the Καλή Παρέα. Who are the Καλή Παρέα? That's a group that you're involved with today.
Καλή Παρέα started as a cafenio. You go to a coffee shop in Greece and you play cards, discuss, read the paper, discuss any issues, whether it's agriculture, politics. Now, this Καλή Παρέα started with few of them going to Motorstar Mall, walking the mall, and then sit down and having coffee. Then when I joined them, I said, why don't we really create an organization? Let's get a real coffee and meet down at the church. We have plenty of room. We moved down to church, and then says, well, let's not call this gathering Cafenio. I said, I have a good name. This is a Παρέα. I mean, let's name it Καλή Παρέα. So each one of us, when we get here, has something to say, some experience. So a lot of us start telling experiences, how they jumped ship to become American citizens by marrying local girls, so on. Before we know, we had 40 members. And we keep on very strong, Καλή Παρέα. Καλή Παρέα does not have women.
So in that sense,
Yes.
it is like a traditional Greek coffee house.
Yes, it is traditional. Yeah, and we have people that come out with some clean jokes. And έχουμε ένα κεφαλονίτη. Sometimes he comes out with some. Before he finishes, another. No, let him finish. Let him finish his joke. It's fun.
His 68 years in the media industry has left us at a loss for words. Although he is in our hearts, George Burlotos continues his journey, and we want to give him the final words today on Cosmos Philly. George?
Αγαπητοί μου, μέχρι να δείτε αυτό εδώ το πρόγραμμα στο Cosmos Philly, οι φίλοι Cosmos που κάνουν θαυμάσια εργασία, σας ευχαριστώ που επισκεφθήκατε εδώ που κοιμάμαι και ονειρεύουμε ωραία πράγματα. Σας ευχαριστώ και πάλι. Έχουμε το Σοκράτη δίπλα. Εγώ λέω να χαιρετήσουμε και ως την άλλη Κυριακή να είμαστε καλοί Γρεκοί. Κοιτάξτε τη δουλειά σας αγαπητοί μου και μην ξεχνάτε να βλέπετε την προσπάθεια, τον έπαινο αυτό του Λευτέρη και του Βασίλη στο Cosmos Philly και Philly Cosmos. Τα είπα καλά? Όχι? Δεν πρέπει οπωσδήποτε να τελειώσει αυτή η συζήτηση. Με συγκίνησαν πολύ ο Λευτέρης και ο Βασίλης, διότι μου θύμισαν τα καλά παλιά μου νεανικά χρόνια. Αλλά εσύ βοήθησες πολύ, μου είχες δώσει το θάρρος. Από σένα έμαθα πολλά. Λοιπόν, καιρός να το κλείσουμε το πρόγραμμα. Είδες λοιπόν, η σκέψη μου πήγε στο πρόγραμμα. Εδώ είναι ολόκληρη εταιρεία. Και να πούμε στον κόσμο να μην ξεχνάει να παρακολουθεί το Philly Cosmos, το Cosmos Philly. Τους έχω βαφτίσει 2 ονόματα. Θα θυμάστε το καλή εβδομάδα στην καρδιά πάντα λιακάδα. Αγαπητοί μου, και ως την άλλη Κυριακή να είμαστε καλοί Γρεκοί. Αλλά μην ξεχνάτε να παρακολουθείτε το Cosmos Philly και το Philly Cosmos. Γεια σας!
For more information about sponsoring or viewing the interview series, visit the Greek American Heritage Society of Philadelphia online at gahsp.org.